Season 3 was a great season for the Vancouver Canucks. I have no problem saying that. It was very kind to us. We went above all expectations, making it to the Western Conference Finals before losing to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Winnipeg Jets. And in Utica, the Comets once again win the Calder Cup. But we have to put that behind us as we're moving on now to Season 4, and that begins with this draft. We have 4 picks in the second round. We're probably going to look to trade up. We do have Chicago's second round pick as well, so we know that will be pretty early on. But no first round pick at the moment. But as far as second rounders go, we have the 3rd pick. Where else do we stand? The rest are a little bit later, which is unfortunate. We have the 22nd, 23rd, and the 28th picks in the second round. So if we can't trade up, at the very least, we are going to get some good depth, which we need to have as some of our other players continue to progress. And fortunately for us, I think that's going to be the cycle that we can keep. As our prospects continue to develop, we trade out our other players for draft picks and just repeat the cycle. Now, unfortunately, as you can see, these 4 second-round picks aren't worth a lot aside from the Chicago pick, so it might be difficult to make a trade. Now, unfortunately, we have had to settle with going with our second-round picks. I tried like hell to trade up, and teams just weren't budging. We could not make our way into the first round. Top 10 was never going to happen. I tried to get a late pick in the round as well, and teams just were not budging. They weren't buying what I was selling. A second rounder along with, say, a 4th and a 6th. They didn't want it, so we will make our pick, and this adds plenty of depth to our team. So I am more than all right with it, and let's see who we have available, who is projected to be at this stage. And again, it's a lot of unknowns. I did a lot of week-by-week simming. I also did some simming for even longer, and unfortunately that hasn't panned out. See, like right there, complete bullshit. Scouted Russia. Russia didn't have that many players, yet I still have no information on them. So this is why, at this stage of the sim, I try not to put too much effort into the draft because it simply isn't worth it. Now, because of my limited options, we are going to go with this defenseman, Martin Fehervary. I did not scout him 3 times, despite what the game says. We know he's at least going to be 7th D potential. I was tempted to go with Fedotenko, but we will go with him, and we will hope that he is a little bit better than his potential. We don't know, and he's 7th D, so he's a little bit weaker than what he was. That's pretty disappointing. For the record, Fedotenko ended up being medium top 6 potential, so we missed out there. And with our next 2 picks, back-to-back, the 22nd and 23rd of the second round, we take Finnish defenseman Jani Kauvosaari and forward Milan Krejci. And this terrible draft continues as we take forward Richard Rakos with the 20th pick, and he only ends up being AHL potential. Tampa Bay also struck out, so that makes me feel a little bit better. But for a supposed strong draft, this isn't going too well for us so far. With our next pick, the 6th pick in the 3rd round, we draft Russian defenseman Dmitry Nikolishin. With our next pick, we end up taking another Russian defenseman. This time it's Dmitry Karpovtsev. Unfortunately, he is only AHL potential, though. 3 straight picks in the 4th round, and we struck out on all 3 of them. I hate this draft so much. To be honest, that was probably the worst draft I have ever seen in all my years of playing GM mode on NHL. Even factoring in Madden and NBA, I don't think I've ever seen a draft more poor than that. So many AHL caliber players, not just for my team, but for every team. So yeah, I skipped over most of that because that is just absolutely brutal. But there are the names. You know who to look out for as we advance into the re-sign phase. Starting off with goaltenders, and part of me thinks maybe letting go of Eddie Lack would be the right thing to do and just have Ty Edmonds be the backup. But I think I might just trade Ty Edmonds because there's really no point in holding on to him. He was a free agent pickup. He's grown into a decent goalie, and we can turn him into a draft pick while still having our original plan of Lack and Demko as our tandem. Eddie Lack, let's see. I'm fine with 3 years for 2.5. I am perfectly fine with that. We might go 2.4 just to reduce the price a little bit, but we will see if Eddie Lack accepts that deal. Maxim Ovechkin needs his entry-level contract, so we will give that to him. We'll have to bring on Werner next season. Defenseman Stetcher is a huge piece that we absolutely need to resign, but as you can see by the salary cap, we have more than enough space. The question is, do I want to try to sign him to... I don't want to sign him to a longer deal. I do, but I won't, just in case his morale plummets, because you never know when the hell that's going to happen. If that happens, he'll be easier to trade rather than having that big cap hit. Madison Bowie needs a new contract. We will give you 3 years as well at 1.9. Save a little bit of money here and there. Slavin, I'm really afraid, isn't going to turn into what we need him to turn into, but I am going to give him a 2-year deal at the very least. We will... Actually, no, I'll give him 3 years. I'll give him 3 years, and by the end of that, if he doesn't grow into anything, we can just let him go once his potential is past. Chychrun, up to a 77. We do still have him signed at this point, but I expect him to be low 80s to start next season. Renat Valiev, up to an 80 overall as well. Smirnoff needs his entry-level deal, and I got to admit, he's not going to pan out. He was a 6th-round pick in our first draft. He just is not going to work, so we will let him go. Is there anybody else for defensemen? I think we should have a couple undrafted guys or unsigned drafted guys. We do not. That is it for our defensemen. But of course, the big fish there is Stetcher. I can't imagine he won't re-sign. Right wings, and we have a pretty big trio that need to be re-signed. Elias Lindholm was disappointing in the playoffs, but he's only 23 years old, which is absolutely ridiculous. We will sign him to a deal just a little bit less than what he was asking for. Slapishev, we will re-sign just in case we decide to trade him, which was most likely going to be the thing. And the big decision for me is Martin Hanzal, whether or not we resign him to let him, or just to let him walk. I think we'll resign him and try to trade him. But if I don't know who's coming up in free agency, I didn't look. Jake Virtanen, I could sign to a ridiculous deal. Absolutely ridiculous deal for ridiculous money. I'm going to cheese it, guys. I don't care. He's the one guy I'm willing to take a risk on. If he accepts this, I'm perfectly fine with that. Because if he continues to grow, like, this is a bad idea. This is going to come back to haunt me. But I am going to offer him that contract, and we will see if he accepts. Fortier is somebody we drafted in the first round. We will give him his entry-level deal. I am going to so regret that Virtanen offer. Anthony Mantha needs a new contract. We will just give him what he is asking for. Danny Paille is being outright released. Bison, somebody we signed or somebody we drafted in our first year, gets his entry-level deal. And that is it for left wingers. So moving on to centers, Martin Hanzal. I'm going to leave it up in the air for the moment because we do need to sign McCann and Castles. McCann looking for a pretty big contract at this stage. But even if we re-sign Hanzal, he's out of here for sure, especially with Cole Castles and Eric Cornell being where they are at this point. LaBerge needs his entry-level deal, as does Matthew Hotchkiss. So we will give them those contracts, and that is it. So let's go ahead and see who accepts. And depending on our cap situation at the time, we will also re-sign Martin Hanzal. I got to admit, that was awfully kind of Eddie Lack to say he always wanted to play with a top-ranked team, and it lets me know, according to the game's logic, that we are making very, very big strides. Jacob Slavin also accepts Lindholm, Mantha, Stetcher. Where's Virtanen? McCann. Jake Virtanen accepts. So for 8 years at $3 million, if his morale plummets, it's going to suck. But if he continues to grow and truly grows into that top 6 forward potential, we are going to have a first, second liner locked up long term at $3 million. It's worth the risk, in my opinion, which is why we did it. Slapishev, Bowie, Castles, Hotchkiss, Fortier, LaBerge, Bison, Ovechkin, everybody accepted. So let's go ahead and take a look at what our cap situation is. We have $12 million free in cap space. $12 million. I'm going to offer Martin Hanzal a deal, and we are going to immediately trade him. That might The game might punish me for that, but I'm willing to take the risk. We'll actually offer him, we'll give him a little bit of term. He might be easier to trade, but we'll see if he accepts that deal. I would love to keep him, but compared to who we'd have to trade away, a prospect that we would have to trade away, it just wouldn't be worth it. He had a pretty good season with us. He does resign. Let's move on to free agency and see if there are any big fish that we can catch. Moment of truth, guys. Who will be available in the free agent pool? Kyle Turris is the gem. Patrick Marleau there as well. Clendenning, not too bad. How about goalies here, as I hit the wrong trigger to move over? How about goaltenders? Not like we need one. Not the best free agent pool for goaltenders, but there might be some prospects that we can sign. Unfortunately, though, we are at 50 contracts with $8.3 million in cap space, so we may have to make a trade right now if we want to sign somebody. I think we all knew this trade was going to happen. We send Martin Hanzal to the Buffalo Sabres for their first round pick this season. Keep in mind, we did not have another first round pick heading into this upcoming season. So we get a first round pick. We also pick up some depth with a 4th and 5th rounder in the upcoming draft. We're also going to take a little bit of a risk sending Manel and Barter, 2 defensemen we drafted in our first year, both AHL top 2D potential, to Carolina for a 3rd and a 6th. Keep in mind, they were both 4th round picks. I have a feeling at least one of them, probably Manel, who was already a 75 overall, is going to grow to be 7th D potential, but there are some players on the free agent list right now with higher potential than that. And our last trade hurts quite a bit. I'm going to trade away TJ Brennan, the captain of the Utica Comets. Of course, you guys know, fan of his in real life, but it just makes too much sense to get rid of him now. We also are going to get rid of Slavin, who we just signed, along with Mitch Van de Sample. Of course, both of those two, 7th D potential. We send them to the Detroit Red Wings for a 3rd, 4th, and 5th in this year's draft, as well as a 4th and 5th in next year's draft. So after trading away all of those players to open up space, we have now replenished the AHL roster with some solid free agents. We have Nicholas Matainen, who will be our only defensive signing at the moment, but he is top 6 potential. He is actually the only guy to sign at that moment. We get Jordan Saru. Hopefully he can pan out to be something, and he is already 77 overall. Vitaly Abramov, elite potential at 73 overall. Cameron Askew, top 9 forward. Manu Honkanen, a top 9 forward, and I believe that is it for the moment, but we didn't have that many contract spots left to begin with. We still have $13 million in cap for the future once these players continue to get better. 49 of 50 on our contracts, and if you look at who we have coming up next season, we have Drake Caggiula, who's going to want a big contract, potentially Corrado and Valiev. So we're still set up very, very well for the future. Now, just to look over free agent pickups, and of course, our trades were the only one. I hate that we had to get rid of Hanzal, but our centers have made too much progression. Those 2 defensemen, and getting rid of Brennan and Slavin definitely hurts. But certain free agent pickups, let's see if there are any big ones. Zach Cassian to Tampa, Cam Atkinson to Philly, Tyler Bozak to Pittsburgh, and that is it for big signings. Still no word on where Kyle Turris is going, and we're not going to find out because we are simming to the next season. Preseason, here we come. We'll take a look at what our roster is going to be, and that will do it for this episode. Now the fun begins, getting to look at our roster, and as you can see, Thatcher Demko is up to an 86 overall, Eddie Lack at an 85, but where it gets interesting is down in the minors, as Ty Edmonds has been boosted up to an 84 overall, and I'm going to leave that question to you guys. Who is our backup goalie? Do we stick with Eddie Lack, the fan favorite, or do we go with Ty Edmonds? As a matter of fact, before we do anything else, I'll just go best lines here for the moment, because in honesty, I haven't set them yet. I haven't set captaincy or anything like that. When I checked during the draft and during free agency, Ty Edmonds' value was not very high, but he is, of course, an 84 overall. It has gone up. It was a sliver. So there you see Edmonds overall, and there you see Lax. Which goalie should we go with? Who should be our backup goalie? Because in the AHL, as you can see, and we'll just do it right here, Timpano's up to a 77, and Ovechkin is a 74. So if we roll, we're going to roll with Timpano as our starter, trade him away as we sign Adam Werner to be our new backup goalie. He'll be a tandem with Ovechkin next season. So that's the plan. We have room for one. Is it Lack or is it Edmonds? On defense, things are looking pretty good. Stetcher, now the highest rated defenseman on the team at an 87. Tramkin and Parayko both at an 86. Tanev Corrado, 84s. Madison Bowie, only an 83. Going to have to hope he makes some progression this season. Down in the AHL, though, Renat Valiev is an 82 overall. Chychrun, an 80. He's very close. He, of course, can be played in Utica this season, but next season, he is an NHLer. He will probably be the captain of the Comets this season. Peters making good progression for a free agent signing, up to a 75. Cowra a 70, or excuse me, Peters a 79. Cowra a 75. And then we have Puteau, somebody we drafted along with Nouveau. And then we have Matanen, our free agent signing. So in the AHL, things are looking very good as well. And as we get into the forward core, we also have a little bit of an issue. Now, first off, going over the overalls, we have Stamkos at a 94. Still Austin Matthews up to an 89. Elias Lindholm, my God, he made the jump. He is up now to an 88 overall. Absolutely incredible. And if anything, I know Jonathan Drouin and Stamkos worked well together. Maybe we should go with Matthews, Stamkos, and Lindholm as the top line. Any three can play center, or maybe we should still go with Jonathan Drouin on that top line. But very impressive for Lindholm to be an 88. Drouin up to an 87. Jake Virtanen up to an 86. He's gone up 2 overall points again, and immediately I am absolutely loving that contract that we just gave him. Jake Virtanen is going to be a beast for us. Bo Horvat an 86. Cole Castles an 86. Somehow, this game is so broken, somehow he's listed as a minor league player. No, we are not going to bury him in the minor leagues. His freaking defensive category is unbelievable with 95 defensive awareness. Cole Castles an 86 overall. Jimmy Vesey still at an 85. McCann, Kajula, Slepyshev, all 85s. And then you have Eric Cornell up to an 84. Mantha at an 83. One of these players has to go. Whether it's Mantha, whether it's Cornell, Slepyshev, or maybe even Cole Castles. Any of those four I'm good with. We could also package one of them with one of our current defensemen. Say we want to get rid of Corrado or Madison Bowie if we don't think he is going to turn into anything. Although, in fairness, he is top 6 at only 23. Corrado's gone up to elite, so he could have a big season ahead of us. But we could package one of those forwards with Madison Bowie and go out and get another really big surefire hit of a defenseman. That is also up to you. So let me know what we should do with the goaltending situation and what should we do with our extra forward. Do we just trade him for a pick, or do we package him with a defenseman to go out there and get somebody amazing? But looking over really quick at the AHL forwards, things are also looking very promising for the Comets. Once again, Solarek and Sarela up to 80. Saru, who we just signed, is an 80. Gabriel, Carlson, Sidorov, 79s. Elvanes, Luke, Honkainen, 78s. And I'll show you guys the rest. Unfortunately, Line and Puljujärvi, it's looking rough for those two. I honestly don't know if they will turn into what we were hoping they would turn into. As it is, I just noticed, wow, he has actually fallen to AHL potential. So obviously in real life, these two are going to be amazing NHLers, but in this game, it's not looking like they are going to pan out for us. That will do it for this episode, and for the record, I went best lines so far because obviously we'll be editing it in the next episode, and it scratches Eric Cornell. So use that information how you will. But guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Make sure you get back to me. I genuinely want your input on what we should do heading into Season 4, because now the goal is to make it back to the conference finals and to make it to the Stanley Cup, and I think we have the team to do it. As always, if you have enjoyed, make sure to drop a like down below. It helps, and I would really appreciate it. We are continuing on the road to 1K subscribers, and I have a really good feeling that this first year for me is going to end up just the way I wanted it to. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to continue following this series, and I will see you guys in the next episode as we begin Season 4.